Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Damian's Advocate, streaming live on both Facebook, YouTube, as well as on twitch.tv. Look it up via Damian G Show. And my co-host, as usual for Damian's Advocate, is my girl Friday, my right hand, the person who reminds me pretty much of my organizational or lack thereof skills. Coach Sarah, thank you for joining me.
Hello. It may be 5. There's a possibility of it being number 5.
Irrelevant.
Yes.
Yes.
Girl Friday's just on par there for trying to
Yeah,
be
for anyone who doesn't know the reference, it's originally, I believe, from the TV show Dragnet from back in the day. But Sarah has modernized it to be Friday from Iron Man's Armor. Basically, yep. I'm Tony and she's Friday, which is hilarious because that makes perfect sense that I'd be Tony Stark in this situation.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
You know, just without the millionaire, just without being the billionaire philanthropist. Everything else kind of checks out. So you listened to my show last night, my podcast on Damian G Stream. You can find that on Spotify, Anchor, all over the place. And I talked about boundary setting.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who have listened to it have already reached out to me and say, I don't know what I'm talking about, which is wonderful.
Okay.
And I didn't want to tell you off air because I wanted to surprise you with it. So, so for those that don't know, who want the 5-second summary, essentially setting boundaries in a relationship or in your personal relationships is important, and I discuss why it's important, and I also discuss the reasons behind setting said boundaries. Mm-hmm. And apparently some people are trying to tell me that my reasons for setting boundaries are wrong when I distinctively said it depends on the person. Mm-hmm. I guess some people didn't listen all the way through, and you and I both know there are some people who will listen to the first 10 minutes or even 10 seconds of a podcast and immediately disqualify what's being said. So Sarah, you listened to it.
Yes, I did.
In its entirety, I'm assuming.
I did all the way through because I am Girl Friday. So, boundaries. First of all, every single person is going to have different boundaries. Okay.
Indeed.
Everyone. You're going to have different boundaries than I am going to have. But in basic, this is not just dating relationship. This is human to human relationship. Boundaries are one of the most important thing for safety and security of both parties. Both parties. I've talked about this with you. I actually love boundaries because I like to know where I stand. I like to know where I can, I want to know. It's just my own safety thing. Not everyone is like that. And I truly believe in most relationships, you need to set the boundaries early. And as the relationship grows and changes, boundaries grow and change. But they're one of the most important thing. And I fully believe so many people have a hard time setting boundaries. And enforcing boundaries, which is a whole nother thing. It's one thing to set them. It's another thing to enforce them. So it's something I learned from my previous marriage. Boundaries were an issue with him. He did not know how to set them with anyone, nor did he know how to enforce them. And I've talked to him. He knows I can say this. He gave me permission to talk about this. Me, on the other hand, I do the opposite, where I tend to put up walls. So there's a balance in there, which we can talk about later. But boundaries are extremely, extremely important for a healthy relationship, in my opinion. So,
by the way, I'm in the group chat already on Facebook, and already people are complaining, Lauren, looking at you, that I'm not wearing a hat for this episode.
He got a haircut. Let him show off his hair.
Look, y'all, I was tired of rocking the Puerto Rican mullet. I wanted to free my hair and I'm going to have no hat on for this episode. So if you don't like it, tough noogies.
Let him have it. I'm sad about the haircut, but it's all good. Let him have it. Boundaries. You know what? I should have my hat on. It's not over here though, just to switch things up.
So let me give my 2 cents about the boundaries talk.
Okay.
It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want everybody prying into your personal life. You don't want everyone and their mama pretty much calling your own shots, as it were.
Yeah.
I mentioned on last night's show, I've had my family get overly involved past boundaries. I've had my former partners in the past, their families were immensely involved with everything in and out of the relationship, to the point where I've told you directly that there are types of women I don't date anymore because of that very reason.
Yeah.
And because it's almost psychotic in my estimation. This necessity to have control and allow other family members to control what you yourself are doing. And that's why it's important to have that force field. And I also did mention, because you brought this up a couple of seconds ago, about having boundaries versus the fortress of walls.
Yes, you did.
And you just admitted, Sarah, that you have 4,372 walls up.
Yep. Yeah.
Aha.
It's true. I know it. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. There's a difference between boundaries and walls. Maybe we can work on defining the difference. Boundaries are something that just whatever is innate in you and who you are, you have to set up a boundary to keep yourself safe. Now, I talked about this actually with my therapist this morning. Keeping yourself safe is okay. It's necessary to keep yourself centered and healthy and safe, but not letting anyone close to you is a problem, because honestly, as much as we get frustrated with humans, we need other humans. Yeah. We need them. It's just a matter of where we need them, how we need them, and setting up boundaries for specific people. Even in a relationship, I can tell you from experience, if boundaries aren't set, it gets unhealthy very, very, very quickly and can even get dangerous. So boundaries are extremely important. And we're not just talking about physical boundaries, we're talking about emotional boundaries. And then if you continue to let someone overstep those boundaries without enforcing consequences, they continue. There are people that feed off of breaking boundaries. They love it. They love to get across your boundary, and they take advantage of it, and they will do it until you are completely unsafe, even to a point of being physical. There are people that do that. They'd like to see how far they can go.
And I mentioned that.
Yeah, you did.
It is a human's odd quirk to push limits to see how far they can go before someone finally says, "Nuh-uh, that ain't gonna happen, bro." So I referenced this, and I am guilty as fuck of being one of those people that poke, prod, needle, all of the above, to test, because one, I'm mischievous for one, and two, growing up, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know what boundaries are. I just thought, hey, being direct and aggressive is the same thing as just it's a normal day-to-day thing. But as I've gotten older, and I said this, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, I have discovered what a boundary is on my end. But over the last 6 months, I've discovered what other people's boundaries are in conjunction to me. And for those who aren't emotionally intelligent enough to understand that, it will come as a shock and an ego crush.
Yeah, I think that's key. Emotional intelligence. I don't think a lot of society understands what that even is, or even how to develop it. Because so many people don't know how to set boundaries, we are used to, try not to go political here, we're used to allowing other people run our lives. Mom, dad, a significant other, so many people don't know how to be okay on their own. And this is why we talk about being okay on your own, find your worth and your purpose by yourself first before you jump into any relationship. I literally, about 45 minutes before we got on here, I was having a conversation with someone about this, about you've got to, I know this person, I'm like, you have a hard time setting boundaries, is the exact conversation. You have a hard time setting boundaries. And I've seen you getting taken advantage of multiple times. Be careful before you go out on this date. Be careful. Like, I would rather you be I'd rather you find friendship first over just dating, because it's healthier. It's there's more boundaries there, and it's just be careful.
So let me ask you a question. Let me
Mhm.
put this out there for the universe. When was the first time you realized you never had boundaries a day in your life?
The first time I went to well, me. I'm trying to think. I don't know when I realized it. I know the first time first time I went to therapy, we talked about boundaries. But at that point, I had put up a bunch of boundaries. So I did the opposite. It was where I didn't set any boundaries. And then I was like, oh, shoot, I need to take care of myself, which was probably no, yeah, April 2019.
Okay.
Hadn't been that long. And I said, I need to take care of myself. And that's when boundaries started being put in place. I don't know that I was actually aware, like, oh, shoot, I need to put boundaries in place. This is just what I felt like I needed to do. To the point I put up too many boundaries. For real. Too many
Okay.
boundaries. To where I'm actively trying to tear those, not boundaries, walls. Too many walls. I'm actively trying to tear some of those down.
So right now,
Mhm.
I'm looking as to the definition of a wall.
Mhm.
So I'm going to use it in a very generalistic sense, not a literal sense.
Yeah.
To provide cover with, or surround with, or as if with a wall, or to separate by a wall. In other words, all these barriers, all these barricades to not allow people or anything to penetrate, a enclosure of sorts for defense.
Yep. We're not talking about chastity belt. We're talking about
Whoa, whoa,
emotional
whoa, 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 whoa,
emotional walls.
whoa,
Don't
whoa, whoa.
don't
First off, who the hell mentioned chastity belts?
because you said one particular word. Listen, I'm 5. I'm 5 years old. Okay. Um, walls, walls, emotional walls is where I shut people off. I'm intentionally working on them. I've learned this about myself recently. I mean, I did this with you the other day. There was a particular situation that happened to me a while ago. So when things happen to me, I immediately deny them for a while. Okay, I just pretend they don't happen because they're specifically traumatic events. I pretend they don't happen. I ignore them, and then all of a sudden I start to face them, but I don't talk about them for a long, long time. If I wasn't intentionally trying to break down some of these walls, I don't think I'd ever talk about them. So like the other day, I told you about something that happened. What was it, like 4 6 months ago? That kind of rattled me, and it was the first time I've ever talked about it with anyone. And it having other people in your life and know what's going on can be healthy for you. So that's why walls aren't good, but having boundaries is good. Boundaries, it's hard to define because every single person is different and unique. Um, and like a boundary for me, like in relationships, is uh, like I want monogamy. Monogamy is for me. This is an example. Some people, monogamy is not important to them. They are fine having an open relationship, and that's not a boundary they set. That's not a boundary either one of them sets. But for me, that's a boundary. This is a very broad, easy um, way to look at a boundary. So you cross that boundary, there's going to be consequences. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And to be quite honest, like I said on last night's show, I have levels. You know, we throw around the phrase, there's levels to this.
Hmm.
So there's levels to Damianistic boundaries here.
Yeah.
You know, in my personal space, I don't want no one in it. 99% of the time, I don't like people in my personal space. I grew up in New York City where there's no such thing as a boundary because even on the subway, everyone's up your armpit and down your ass crack.
I love
But in
this.
reality, no.
Hmm.
You ain't gonna like it when Hobo Jim comes up, asks you for $10 every 5 seconds, and then you want to punch him in the mouth. That's a bad boundary. But in terms of my personal relationships, prime example. Chris is in the chat. So I've known Chris for a few years now, and he's my brother.
Mhm.
But I know that there's boundaries within his life that I will never go into, and he will not go into mine because I respect him. I love him enough to respect any and all boundaries that he has set. If he says, yo, D, you crossed the line, or if I tell him, yo, Chris, you crossed the line,
Yep.
that's a wrap. I've had to tell people, yo, stop using the methodology of, oh, stop being a bitch as some sort of motivational tactic.
Mm. Mm. Let me tell
That
you.
doesn't work. That don't work.
That term, calling someone a bitch for setting a boundary, that is manipulation. That is not okay. That is unhealthy. That is someone being upset that you set a boundary with them and they're trying to control you by making you feel weak.
Bad about it.
And that's not okay. I had this conversation again with the same person I was just talking to because they had set a boundary and family members did not want to respect it and they called him a pussy. And I was like, excuse me. That is not okay. That's not okay. For family members, for anyone to tear down someone when they set a boundary, no, that's unhealthy and that deserves like discipline when someone crosses that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Like you pull back from that relationship. You allow them less access. That's how you discipline in a boundary. Like you don't get that access to me. You get less access actually because you crossed that boundary and did not respect that. So, that makes me mad. It makes me real mad. I'll be honest.
What other boundaries personally do you set in your relationships that you're willing to share?
It's a good question. I, in all honesty, have not been in. I'm just learning this. I know the importance of it, but my time is one of them. I'm a single mom of 3. I'm not just going to be able to jump and come over whenever for whatever reason. Like I plan in advance. I plan in advance for the most part. I mean, I'm flexible, but like being respectful of my time is a boundary. And if you continue to make me feel bad for not making time for you, because I got other shit to do. I've got more important things. I've got my 3 kids to be present for, which is something I'm intentionally working on. I've got bills to pay. I've got my goals I'm chasing after. Do I want a relationship? Yeah, that makes it hard to be in like a super serious relationship. Yeah, it does right now, but it's a boundary I have right now. So that's one. I'm monogamy. If I were to be in a relationship, I get, yeah, well,
No. See, I'm reading the room right now. Go.
I'm rethinking some of my boundaries because certain things have become less valuable to me. So I'm trying to think.
So while you're thinking, I'll throw my 2 cents in the ring as I fix Colossus over here to look at the camera. My time. My time is my biggest boundary. And second biggest, autonomy is my biggest. Ask any of my exes. The number one thing I will always tell them is the minute you start infringing on my own personal autonomy, I'm done. I'm done with you. Or it's a problem. It's a red flag. Because that's where you go into telling people what to do as opposed to being a support system and actually caring for them.
Yeah, it's boundaries are important for a healthy relationship. It really is. Now, your significant other will probably, like if in a relationship, will probably have less boundaries than most people. But that comes with time.
So for those who want to check out last night's episode on my definitions of boundaries and why they're important, because I say they start at childhood when your parents are kind of micromanaging, those helicopter parents we talk about. Check that out. It's on Spotify. It's on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the like. Look at that and then get back to me. Write the show, DamianG347 on Twitter. Actually, that's my old one. Damian G Show on Twitter and Damian G Show on Instagram. And I want to switch gears real quick because switching off of boundaries, you mentioned something last night, which was interesting because I never thought about this before I moved to Texas. And that is giving people grace.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly do you mean by grace?
So grace is almost the opposite of boundary. Grace is giving someone a little bit of leeway on things. Now, it's not grace isn't leeway within your boundaries. It's not. That's not where that comes in. Mm-hmm. Grace is seeing a human who you absolutely adore and they are fantastic human. You love them. But let's be clear. There is no perfect human out there. There's no perfect human. And everyone has a backstory. Everyone has a flaw. Everyone has hangups. And giving that human grace for their hangups. Mm-hmm. It's something I feel that, like in red pill culture that we look up all the time, they don't know how to do. They almost have too many boundaries or walls. And the second, like we did that 16 list, the second a person has, oh, your dad walked out on you, peace out. That's not showing grace. That's allowing people to have bad things happen and negative things in their life and giving them grace as long as it's not crossing over your boundaries. Like learning to love that person right there as they are. That's what I personally feel like grace is.
I'm trying to think here about my own inclinations with grace just in general because, well, my last name is Gracia, so it's almost like grace. But in reality, the thought of extending grace to a person who's done you wrong, that's an ego thing. Yeah. When you don't want to do that, because I'll be the first to admit, you only get one strike with your boy. Yep. One strike and you out. Maybe that's a wall. Maybe that's too hardcore of a boundary. Maybe that's just as much grace as I'm willing to give a person. And it also depends on the egregiousness of the offense. Yeah.
Yeah. It does depend on that. So something I am working on currently, and I've been working and focusing on the past 2 days, and it kind of goes along with this, so just bear with me, is acceptance. Accepting, this is giving yourself grace, honestly. Accepting my past, accepting what has happened to me, accepting my now, and accepting my future. And specifically with pain points. Accepting the pain of my past, accepting the pain that it's causing me now, and accepting the fact that in the future, there's a chance it's going to happen. I'm going to be put in pain. And so many of us walk around pain adverse to where we feel the slightest bit of pain, we're just done. That's it. Because we don't want that pain again. And it's understandable. But just like with working out, it's not easy to work out. It hurts sometimes. It really, really sucks sometimes. Cardio is my struggle. And I'm just like, I'm going to kill this person. I don't want to do this, but you do it anyways. Why? Because the result is worth it. Future relationships are gonna cause you pain. Any relationship with any human being, there is a high risk, because we're all humans and flawed and working through our own shit. There's a high risk of us getting hurt. Very high risk. And walking around avoiding it is impossible. And when it comes up, learning to feel it, face it, and decide if you're going to give grace or not. Again, it depends on what kind of boundary they've crossed.
So for instance, right now, Chris Toph is in the chat and he's like, cough, cough, 28th anniversary this Friday, cough, cough. So I'm gonna throw it out to him, and this is why I made the angry face in the chat, dude. You mean to tell me there's never been 1 or 2 instances where you or your wife have crossed each other's boundaries and led you to want to flip a table over? Because I find that incredibly hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't know that I believe it. Any relationship, even family, family can make you want to flip a table often.
I have.
I'm dealing with it now, and it is what it is. It's a matter of, all right, setting, again, grace and boundaries actually go hand in hand. I don't know that it's opposite. Setting your boundary and being firm in it, but then giving them grace as a human. Does that mean you allow them to step over? No. But giving them grace and realizing, yeah, you're human. You got some past, you got some weaknesses, you got some flaws. And I love you, but you can't cross this boundary. Now,
okay, so I don't mean to cut you off, but this just brought something to my attention. The amount of people we have worked with who have all these parameters, requirements, preferences, and I'm going to use that real loosely here. How much of that do you think is just a false boundary or a false anything, just so they themselves don't have to put the effort in to kind of get to know their own boundaries and their own selves? And yes, Chris, I know trying to tell your wife to calm down is not something I would even want to try to do. So I understand.
It's hard to tell any woman that, honestly. But so a lot of that, like a 16 list of red flags, is an unhealthy, I don't want to put in the effort and show a human grace, and this is my way of keeping myself safe, and you have to fit in this 16 red flag list, otherwise you're not worth it. It's a lot of people do that. It's hard. I mean, I just heard someone the other day, because I talk about I don't want to play games. I don't want to play games in in dating. I don't know how to flirt, and
that's obvious. You don't know how to flirt at all.
I don't. And I had someone attempt to teach me the other day, and I was like, I don't want to do this as a game, but dating is a game. Let's be honest. Go ahead. Please, let me hear it.
Time out. I know I tried to teach you from the guy's perspective, but who the hell tried to teach you how to flirt from the woman's perspective?
Lauren's on here, right? Do you not remember this?
Oh yeah, that was Lauren. They must have watched Legally Blonde one too many times.
Yo, I don't play that. I don't play that game. I don't know. About as much as I flirt is laughing at you. So that's about all I know how to do, and I just look silly while doing it, and then I embarrass myself later.
So in the chat, Jeannie Nelson says, I think it's important to evaluate the person's intent when they cross the boundary, and also their willingness to make an effort to respect the boundary in the future. And to that, I will applaud.
Yes, that right there is grace. Yes, but a lot of people in the dating realm are walking around with these almost checklist of what is okay and what is not okay. And some of those things, some of them are core values you want in another human being, and that's fine. Core values.
So height's not a core value?
No, it's not. Well, you want to talk about this one?
No, go ahead, keep going.
No, core values are important. Preferences, I'm trying to think. Because I understand preferences to some extent. I'm not a person with a whole lot of preference. When it comes to preference for me, it tends to more be personality wise. And I'm very, for me, I have to mentally be stimulated more than anything. And if there's not a whole lot of people out there that I can have deep, in-depth conversations with, and that's usually when I lose my interest in dating. We sit down for dinner and we start talking about things that are just minuscule to me. I'm like, all right.
Wait. You mean smoking weed on the first date isn't something you want to talk about with people?
Nope.
For shame.
I don't want to know about the different types of, I don't even know. It's just not me. It's just not me. I like to have in-depth conversations about history, because that's, I'm a weirdo when it comes to that. Psychology, human relations, things that just mean more to me. And that's really to anyone, but weed smoking is not something that resonates with me.
Time out real quick. Topher, what do you mean that's better than the way I flirt? What are you trying to say, bro?
I want to know how you
about my
flirt.
flirting skill.
I need to know this.
Look, I told y'all. I've told people before. In college, I had the audacity. Not that story, Sarah. Another story. I had the audacity to walk up to a girl in a bar. Literally I walk past her. She walked past me. I stop. She stops. I turn. I go and said, "What's up?" and kept it moving. And it worked a few times back in college. Now, would I do that now? No, but that's
may not work
flirting.
Here in Texas. I don't know.
It depends on who you're talking.
I guess it depends on where you're at, huh? And how much
Oak
alcohol.
Cliff?
Huh?
Oak Cliff. Shout out to Free Play. That's an inside Free Play joke. Just for anyone who don't know, that's a Free Play joke when we bring up Oak Cliff.
Oh man, Oak Cliff. So I wish I could flirt like a dude. I'd be much better.
No, you don't want to flirt like a dude.
No, I don't, and then I do. I wish it were that easy for women. I don't like to play. Okay, this is how I view flirting when it comes to dating. When it comes to women, I feel like women have to play dumb half the time. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. Yes, I did. I don't play dumb. I just don't do it. Playing dumb makes me want to pull my hair out, and I can't stand seeing women do it. But that's what the game is. That's what they do.
You don't do the hair flip?
If I do, it's unintentional. I may do that. I mean, like, hey.
You don't giggle?
I don't, do I?
No, I'm asking.
I'm trying to think about like the other night at Free Play, which I had a lot of tequila. I don't know what I do. I am not conscious of it. Let's be clear. I am not conscious. The fact that women are conscious of it blows my mind. I'm the person that if I were to run into a celebrity, I'd run and hide. That's what I do. I don't know you. I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know you and that you don't exist. And oh hey, how's it going? Okay. I don't know what to do when I see someone of the opposite sex that I find attractive. I don't know what to do. It's just, and that's fine. I'm okay right now not playing the flirting games. I'm okay with it. I'll be fine.
So going all the way back to the boundaries conversation.
Yeah.
How much of your lack of flirting know-how or comfortability talking to the male species, how much of that has to do with your own personal boundaries versus walls?
I don't like that question because it is probably walls. Yep. Yeah. I don't like that question because it is most definitely, probably, for sure, certainly walls. I am.
Well, because you're suspicious by nature.
I am extremely suspicious by nature of a lot of things. I've just had things happen in my life that I just don't trust many people, which I'm working on, balancing the act between boundaries and walls, because my instant go-to is wall. Okay, you're attractive, not interested, I'm gonna hide, kind of thing. And I don't know that it's an insecurity in who I am. I think it's it's an insecurity of not knowing what to do when it comes to flirting.
And that's fine. I mean, if you ask Chris right now, he says my flirting is glancing from afar.
Sup, girl?
So basically, it's the head nod from afar,
Sup,
essentially,
girl?
which is the sup girl.
Sup,
Apparently,
girl?
is how I
I'm gonna
flirt
try
according to
that.
Chris.
I'm gonna try that.
You're gonna
I'm gonna see
go
if that
sup
works with me.
girl? Really?
Not with a girl though. I'm gonna see what I'm just, you know what? I am okay being super single right now, and I'm just gonna experiment. Not like that. I'm gonna experiment with flirting. With flirting, to be clear.
Is that why the whole conversation about Kegel balls happened? Okay.
Before I spit out my wine everywhere.
Why are you
We
drinking
want to
wine
do a
at 2:30 in the afternoon?
Don't judge me.
It's a question.
Why am I drinking wine at 2:30 in the afternoon? Why not?
Yes.
I have a bottle. It's not a good enough reason.
So Jeannie in the chat says another good point. Not playing dumb equals self-respect, a related boundary in her opinion, but hiding equals wall for sure.
Yeah. I'm balancing the act. I know I'm not going to play dumb. It's just I don't do it. I don't.
Jeannie says say hello. It works.
Hi.
No, in general, when you're flirting, say hello.
Oh, say hello. This is how I flirt. Damian's like, say hello. I'm like, hey. And he's like, no,
Not to be fool. And Topher does say Jeannie can teach a class on flirting. So hey,
okay.
maybe Jeannie can do a class, and we'll all just tune in and eat some popcorn and learn a couple of things.
Yeah, I'm lacking in that skill. Yeah, playing dumb, saying hello. Yeah, it's a wall.
What about
I'm aware of that.
when a guy, especially since this has happened, a guy comes up to you and starts a conversation and wants to buy you a drink, even though you're in a safe place, a safe space?
Yeah. What do? I freeze. That is legit what happened. They're like, hey, can I buy you a drink? I was like, me? You want to buy me a drink? Yeah, you. Why? That was what I said. Why? I don't know. I just think I want to buy you a drink. That is legit. I'm just confused by it all. And to be clear, I have not been out at bars that with other men interested in buying me drinks a whole lot. It just hasn't happened. I was married for a long time, which I didn't go out at all. Ended in December, and then every time I had gone out to a bar, I had been with another male, which other males don't typically are interested, except that one time when you you walked away and the guy was like, hey girl.
I was trying to help you out.
You were. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm in the middle of learning what to do. So when it comes to flirting, do not listen to Coach Sarah. She has no idea what to do.
Depending on who you talk to, they'll say don't listen to Coach Damian either. Just
I guess maybe we're just not the flirting people to get. We're just not the people to give advice on flirting.
I'm not an over the top flirter. I literally start conversations as you have seen me do, and I literally go up to people or have them come up to me. I motion for them to come over, and it starts as a conversation. I'm not going to hit you with 7,000 pickup lines. I don't got time for that. That's annoying. Okay. But in terms of the aw shucks flirting of Damian back circa 1996, no, not going to happen.
I don't know. You see, when guys tell me to come here, I don't. I'm like, no, what do you want?
Because you don't trust
come
anyone.
here. I'm not going over there.
To be fair, I do give off a more friendlier vibe than you do.
Yeah. I don't like to own up to that, by the way.
That you don't give a friendly vibe?
Yeah.
Well, if growth is possible, it's going to happen. So maybe now, Coach Sarah, it's time for you to grow.
Grow. I'm okay with growing. That's what I'm working on. I'll add it to my list of things I need to work on.
Which actually brings me to my last topic about growth and development in this realm. And we talked yesterday and today briefly. We were watching this podcast called the Roommates Podcast. And as you roll your eyes, there seemed to be a bit of a difference of opinion on what the term of being feminine means.
Yeah.
Versus a woman who is masculine. So, long story short, one of the guys who's on this podcast, I would assume he identifies as a dating coach, though I personally don't know if I would take dating advice from him for the women I usually date and go after. But he basically gave a pros and cons list style, a T-chart on what he considers to be a woman who's feminine versus a woman who's masculine. And essentially, on the right side of the masculine chart, all I kept thinking was hood booger, hood booger, hood booger, hood booger, hood booger. Like overly argumentative, overly bossy to everyone, not just the person she's dating. Tries to get her way all the time, but if she doesn't, throws a tantrum. Isn't warm, isn't loving, in terms of just projecting a softer visage overall. Basically talks like a dude, acts like a dude. Basically all she's missing is a dick.
So that was really interesting to me. Because in his terms, I would be considered feminine. Feminine. Which is interesting to me because that is not something I am typically called. I mean, I grew up with 5 brothers. I have 5 brothers. I grew up hunting. I grew up outside, working out in the fields and in the farm. Like, I played soccer. I was a power lifter. I threw shot put and discus. Like, I hung out with the boys. Like, I wanted to play football. I never got to, but I wanted to play football. That can come across as masculine. But according to his terms, I wasn't masculine. So it was very interesting to me because I'm not overly argumentative. I will debate someone, but I'll have a healthy debate. The second it starts going argumentative and just being hurtful, I'm done. Like, I'm not worth my time. I enjoy healthy debates and truly healthy debates. So it was interesting to me that I fit into being feminine there. I don't know. What are your terms of being feminine? Because you tell me I'm not very feminine.
Not in that literal sense, no. But remember, we have talked ad nauseum about how on one hand, we go back to alpha versus beta mentality from all these things we talk about.
Yeah.
You are an alpha in terms of your professional life and the way you go about attacking life with reckless abandon in terms of accomplishing what you want. That is, you see it, you go after it, you go get it. That's an alpha mentality. But I've also told you in the realm of like really close friendships, and I can't really speak to the dating life, but you give off a vibe of wanting to be more feminine in your personal relationships and your dating life, where you want to be more warm. You want to be open and a good listener and a confidant and be that backbone for someone to lean on, so to speak. So whenever you do the balancing act, I say, I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking, but you portray yourself to be this alpha female, but deep down inside, Sarah, some would say biologically, you want to be the beta feminine type.
So here's the thing about that. I have problems with both of those terms. You tell me I'm an alpha, I'm like, I don't like that. You tell me I'm a beta, I don't like that.
You just don't like anything, Sarah. You don't like anything.
Okay, so because alpha to me comes across as so harsh and unwarm and masculine and just rah, I don't like that. Like, because I don't feel that I'm that way necessarily. If I have to, I will be, in order to provide and protect my children, which, oh shit, does sound like an alpha. Crap, and sounds very masculine as I'm saying it. I will be that lioness that will do whatever it takes to make sure my kids and my household is in order. I'll be that. But when it comes to being a beta, like when the term beta, I like to be more warm and friendly like that. But beta also comes across as weak in my eyes.
Well, I'm just talking about femininity, not so much beta as you as a person.
Okay. So I don't know. It's hard. I'm wondering if the term is relevant to certain people.
Well, and that's actually something right now that Jeannie brought up, which I completely understand and applaud. She goes, masculinity and femininity in the terms you are discussing it is such a social construct where other societies will see it completely different. So this dating coach that we saw on the Roommates podcast, he openly admits he doesn't date traditional American women. He usually dates women from Africa.
Which is completely different. As someone who has gone to Africa, multiple countries in Africa, it's different. My adoptive father, as I call him, is from Ghana, and I love him and his wife, and she's to me, gives off a very feminine vibe, but she's also a freaking beast. She's an ass kicker. I adore her. And that is what is seen as feminine in Africa. The women go and they gather the food, they gather the water and hold it on their heads. And I could not do that while I was there. And they're freaking badasses. They are some of the coolest women on the planet. And it's very different to what is seen as feminine here in the US, which is after that Roommates video, there was another one that popped up and it was how to be feminine.
Did you watch it? I haven't watched it.
No, I didn't send it to you and I didn't finish it because I was like, I'm over this. And it was like, wear your makeup. This is exactly how she taught. You need to learn how to do makeup properly because a man really wants you to look really just so nice. And, you need to drink your green smoothies every day.
Why do you sound like an 8-year-old Rugrat?
I'm just mimicking what I heard.
Like a Rugrats member just now.
I am just mimicking what I heard, and it was nauseating to me because to me that seems, I'm trying to think of the word. It's just not I don't know. I just feel less respect for women like that because they're looking to find a man to depend on, which is the opposite of everything I stand for. I believe every person, male or female, should be able to stand on their own feet and then team up with someone that just helps them level up and they level each other up. That's my core belief.
Simple.
What?
You're not going to get arguments from me.
No. So I get being on this YouTube thing, because YouTube is new to me since you come into my life, because I just am like 70 years old half the time when it comes to technology. There are a lot of great things on YouTube that I've learned a lot from, and there's so much I'm just like, I feel dumber after watching this. And that was one of them. And I watched like 3 minutes of it.
The one I sent you this morning.
Which one was that one?
The mediocre tutorials and reviews one, where he was debating the two young women who wouldn't let him get a word in edgewise, and thusly they were proving his point about lack of femininity.
God, yeah, that was on femininity. It was on femininity. Yes, that
femininity.
Word.
Come
femininity.
on, lady.
It's like seeing an enemy. It was, and he was talking about how certain men don't want to be with women who are argumentative and won't let them get a word in and talk like, and that's exactly what they were doing. He would try to talk and they'd talk right over him. I'm like, yo, let it hear him out. That to me right there was not a healthy debate. They were just angry and reacting emotionally, and they didn't like what he said, and so they weren't going to let him say anything else. Didn't hear him out fully. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's, to me, that's too overpowering when it comes to that. Because I like, again, when I'm looking for a relationship, I'm looking for a teammate, like 100% teammate, not someone to take care of me or not someone to just have around when I'm lonely. It's a teammate. So that's my whole, what I feel is a healthy relationship. Because I don't want to repeat my past. So, yeah.
Yep, understood. And I fully endorse, the relationships of the people that are in the chat right now. I know the people. So for instance, Chris and Jeannie, they have really rock steady relationships where everyone's a team in the relationship, in the marriage. And that is the pinnacle from what you're describing. Same thing with Marino and his fiance. Like, they are a team. And I adore when I come across couples who have that in their life, that they've put that work in to, and it's not the happy wife, happy life or things of that nature. It's more, look, everybody brings something to the table and we're going to figure out together as we go forward in this beautiful, crazy thing called life to see who brings what to the table. And we're going to go from there.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty easy to talk about and say, but because of the ego, as we talked about, it is so much harder to implement because people feel sometimes that the 16 flags, for instance, that compromise is weakness. And I disagree with that statement that compromise is perceived as weakness. You're not always going to get your way because that would just make you inherently selfish and self-absorbed. And that's not the way to progress in life and or society.
Yeah.
But some people need to figure it out the hard way. Some people need to see that they are left standing at the dance alone because they were either A, one, too rigid, B, they had too many walls up, and C, they just are just bad daters, just bad daters.
Bad daters.
So switching gears before we get out of here, switching gears, I do this segment and prepare for some juvenile
TMI
humor, juvenile humor, y'all. I do a segment with Dio. Dio, I miss you and I love you. Called Damian Doesn't Know. Now, for a little bit of backstory, I remember once there was an episode of that show where they spent a good 20 minutes, Dio and my other co-host, Kat, talking about the Diva Cup and the differences between pads and tampons and things that Damian usually don't go shopping for. But you made a comment the other day that caught me off guard to the point where I damn near spat out what I was drinking. Kegel balls?
I am way too excited to talk to you about this.
What the hell's a Kegel ball? Obviously, I know what Kegels are. Obviously, I know, like anal beads. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Not the same thing.
So Kegel balls are balls for your vajayjay.
Yes. Okay. Let me. They're weighted. They're weights. Yes. It's not for what you think it is. Okay. So if you don't know, you know what the Kegel is, right?
That I know.
Your pelvic floor muscle. Okay. And a lot of times, women, as they get older, And after they have kids, and I mean older, like as early as like 25, 26, 27, as they get older, they have kids, their Kegel floor their pelvic floor weakens. Okay. It's just the muscle gets weaker for whatever reason. And you need to strengthen it because there's things that happen, like if you laugh. This happens often with women, especially after you have children. You can laugh and accidentally pee yourself a little bit. Okay.
What?
Sneeze. Yes, for real. It happens because your pelvic floor is so weak after holding a baby for 9 months and giving birth that the muscle is just like, peace out. I'm done working for now. Okay. So it weakens, and so you can sneeze and pee yourself. You can laugh, and you don't have to have kids for this to happen. Okay. There's so much more that can happen that I'm not sure I want to get into on here.
Well, Jeannie says this is a good thing, Damian, I promise. So
Kegels, oh Lord, there's a lot of things that can happen when your pelvic floor is not strong for a woman. And you need to strengthen them. When you strengthen them, it strengthens your bladder. It can make bedroom more fun for women. Okay?
I already know. I have an idea where this is going. Okay, I've seen enough songs and videos that talk about it. I think I got this part.
Yes. Oh, is that it? Talks about it in the okay. Yeah, it does that too.
The clamp.
There's more. I could go into detail. I don't want to go into detail here.
Girl, we got 4 more minutes. Let's go.
All right. So Kegel balls are weighted balls that you put inside, and it strengthens your pelvic floor because you have to hold them in. And so work it up and you become stronger, and it's just good for the hoo-ha.
The hoo-ha.
Yes.
The hoo-ha.
The hoo-ha.
So is it, I'm thinking like this of like a martial artist. So when a martial artist gets in a horse stance and they just flex all their body, to get ready to like take a blow or something, is that something akin to that?
No. So they're tiny, okay? They're just weighted, they're about like this big, okay? They go in and you walk around with them. You're not sitting there doing muscles. You're like
jingling inside the person.
Huh?
Are they jingling inside the person?
I guess it depends. It depends on what type of weights you buy. I do not know of them jingling. They're not metal, they're silicone. Okay. But there's other ways. Kegel balls are one way to strengthen your pelvic floor, and there are other ways. There's programs you can buy. There's one female I know in particular that I used her program after I had my daughter. And so there's just different ways to do it. It's weightlifting for the hoo-ha, basically.
Okay. I feel...
Are you uncomfortable, sir?
No, madam, I am not uncomfortable. I want to laugh. At the same token, I want to be serious in my wanting to understand, aside from just, okay. I think my last question is, how does this differ from anal beads from what we talked about the other day?
Because Damian, anal beads anal beads don't go in the hoo-ha.
No, beside the obvious.
Because the anal beads are meant for expanding. It's the opposite. It's meant for contracting and making tighter. And
got it. So one's for loosening, one's for tightening
and strengthening. Yeah. Ugh. It's a completely different muscle. I mean, one's a muscle and one is not a muscle.
Okay. If anyone in the chat wants to chime in at some point, you could just chime in on the chat here.
Anal beads?
I know what anal beads are, man. Okay, Chris, no kidding. Anal beads are for pleasure. Yes. So what? Kegel balls aren't for pleasure purposes down the road?
Honestly, more for they're for pleasure down the road, but you don't use them during.
You take them out?
Yeah.
I don't know these things.
Yeah. You don't walk around with them. Like, you're only supposed to use them for 30 minutes at a time.
Oh, I meant while you're having sex. Do you leave them in?
No, it's not during that. You're walking around with them and their weights, and make sure muscles contract and hold on and keep it in place.
Got it. Okay. And
that has been this conversation.
Yeah, we're probably going to talk about this at Free Play a little bit more, but
yeah,
that has been Damian Doesn't Know. Colossus for sure didn't know. And I'm still perplexed because I've been hearing about this since I was in high school. Okay, Jeannie, the goal is to remove the anal beads. The goal is to hold the Okay, yes, but are they pleasurable? Are they both pleasurable experiences? My question. Do you feel them inside of you?
But not in a fun way. You just know they're there. So, it's like having, you don't know this. It's like having a tampon in. You're walking around with it in. It's not like.
How do y'all do that? Seriously, how do y'all walk around with tampons like it's like doo-doo-doo on a Tuesday? You know, I don't.
What else? Would you rather us do something else?
No, it's more of a curiosity. Like, kudos to y'all to be able to do that.
It's not something I guess you could. It's yeah. It just is. It's how, I don't know. It's something that has been done since I was born. Like, not that I did it when I was born, but it's just like, that's something that, I don't know. We just do. It's a lot that women have to go through that sucks, that men will never understand.
Well, I've talked about reasons number 374, well, I'm glad I'm a guy type stuff. You know, number 1, I don't give birth. Hooray. Number 2, can't have a period. Even better. Because we've seen what happens when I like step on a cord or I hit my head. And I act as if I'm
like, you get shot, Damian? You get shot?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Feels like I've been shot. So I know I couldn't handle all that. So kudos to women for putting anal beads in their backsides and cooch beads in the front side.
Cooch beads, huh? That's a new phrase.
Beads. Coochbeads.com. I'm sure this. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't say I sent you. Just the first thing that popped in my head was Coochbeads.com.
We're gonna get new followers that way.
I'm sure, because people are going to want to educate me on all these like sexual thingamajigs, doohickeys and whatnot. But as always, thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been Damian's Advocate with Coach Sarah and myself. Reach the show at Damian G Show on all social media platforms. Find the actual podcast version of this all over the internet as well. Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and the like. We're on Twitch as always, Damian G Show on Twitch and on YouTube. And if you have anything to plug, Sarah, not those plugs. Do you have any products you want to do you have anything you want to advertise, Sarah?
It's a poor choice of words. No, I'm good.
I'm sure after using the beads, you're good. I'm sure.
I'm over you.
Yes, I know that men use anal beads too, y'all. I know this. I was more interested in the Kegel balls more so than the anal beads. I just was fascinated by that. But as always, keep the conversation going. Find the show also through email at DamianGShow@gmail.com. And we will see you probably later this week. And I'll probably find something else that I don't know so Sarah can embarrass me or Dio can embarrass me on air. So we'll catch you next time.